Hey everyone, my name's Avey. Often in the Tarkov community, when people list their specs asking what they should upgrade or whether the game would even run on their machine, the answer they get is that they should 100% get a 3D Vcache CPU or 32 gigs of RAM, and the GPU doesn't really matter unless it has less than 4 gigs of VRAM. And while yes, for a lot of people the upgrade that would be the most sensible is that processor, people that have a perfectly good CPU and perfectly capable GPU that are able to run all shooter games these days have a hard decision to make. Sure, they might not play on the very highest settings or something like Cyberpunk with ray tracing, but their PCs are still good enough that they might not know which specific part to replace first, and I too was kind of in this situation. Just to get it out of the way, I would like to watch the whole video, but in case you want to skip to somewhere, here are all the timestamps for the individual parts. Is it really the GPU that's holding you back though? We can check. The easiest way is just to press Ctrl-Shift Escape to open up Task Manager, head over to the Performance tab on the left, and either put it on your other monitor while you play, or if you only have one, you can Alt-Tab to it once in a while and check the graphs. If you have any parts of your system running at 100% usage while the others are not doing much, you most likely have a bottleneck in that part of your system, and that's the one you most likely want to upgrade, and it might not necessarily be the GPU that's holding you back. Or it also might be because it's Tarkov and sometimes it feels like the performance is entirely dependent on what Nikita had for breakfast that day.
Many people ask me, Nikita, will be the blin.
Steam provides a multi-list of graphics cards sorted by usage percentage of all users on the platform. And sure, Tarkov might not be on Steam, but the percentage of people that play Tarkov while not having had Steam on their computer is probably negligible. In the list, the most used graphics card by percentage of all users is the GTX 1650, which is pretty old at this point and just shows that for the majority of games you don't have to have the latest and greatest, but instead a couple generations old mid-range card will be just fine. For the before part of this comparison, I'll be using a GTX 1650 Super though, which even though User Benchmark isn't the best site to check info on, shows that it's about 40% better than the normal 1650, so the performance for people with the normal 1650 would even be slightly lower. For the after part of the comparison, I'll be testing an RTX 3080 since you can finally get the used ones for about the same price as the new Ryzen 7 5800X3D, which is the recommended CPU for Tarkov. In this section, I'm going to go over all the things that don't change between tests for the sake of isolation. Firstly, along with the GPUs being tested, I am running a Ryzen 5 5600X, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and I have Tarkov installed on an M.2 NVMe SSD. Both GPUs will be tested on a low and high setting alongside each other on 5 different maps. The specific settings for both of these presets will be shown before the comparisons. All of the tests were done in offline mode with AI set to the as an online preset, except for customs, which had a few issues like these. Next, Streets of Tarkov was always the last map to be tested because of a supposed memory leak, even though it shouldn't really affect anything with 32 gigs of RAM and just having one raid played on it between restarts. All of the testing was done on patch 0.13.1, which was supposed to be the optimization patch, but instead there was a chance that people got lower FPS, some got higher FPS, and some saw no difference at all, so keep that in mind. Lastly, video encoding for the recording was done on the CPU instead of the GPU, and with pretty low quality, so hopefully it would minimize the impact of a potential bottleneck for either GPU, so keep that in mind when you see the quality of the recordings.